The unexpected alliance, the emergency klaxons of Mining Station Beta 7, screamed through the corridors like wounded animals. Marcus Chun pressed his back against the cold metal wall, his engineer's jumpsuit already torn and stained with coolant fluid from the damaged systems. The pirates had come out of nowhere, their sleek black ships appearing from behind the asteroid's shadow like predators stalking prey. Marcus clutched his plasma cutter, the tool feeling inadequate against military-grade weapons. He was not a soldier, just a mining engineer who had volunteered for this remote assignment to pay off his student loans. The promise of triple wages for working in the dangerous Outer Rim had seemed like a good idea 6 months ago. Now, as explosions rocked the station and emergency lighting cast everything in hellish red, Marcus wondered if he would ever see Earth again. The sound of approaching footsteps made him freeze. Heavy boots echoed through the maintenance tunnel, accompanied by something else, a rhythmic clicking that sent chills down his spine. Marcus held his breath, knowing that discovery meant certain death. The Crimson Tide pirates were notorious for taking no prisoners, especially not on isolated mining stations where witnesses were inconvenient. A new sound reached his ears, lighter footsteps, almost graceful despite the chaos. Then came a voice, speaking in a language he did not recognize. The words were melodic yet commanding, carrying an authority that made even the pirates pause. Marcus risked a glance around the corner and saw something that made his heart skip. A beat. The woman was clearly not human. Her skin had a violet hue that seemed to shimmer in the emergency lighting, and her height suggested she was nearly 7 feet tall. Her hair was silver white, braided with small crystals that caught the light. She wore armor that looked both ancient and impossibly advanced, with flowing lines that suggested it was grown rather than manufactured. But it was her eyes that truly marked her as alien. They glowed with an inner light, shifting between purple and gold. Beside her stood the most terrifying creature Marcus had ever seen. The beast was easily the size of a small vehicle, its body covered in what appeared to be living crystal that pulsed with internal light. 6 legs supported its massive frame, each ending in claws that could tear through battle armor. Its head was elongated, with multiple eyes that tracked independently. When it opened its mouth, Marcus saw rows of teeth that looked like razor-sharp gemstones. The alien woman spoke again, her voice carrying a note of disgust. Marcus's universal translator, standard equipment for all Outer Rim workers, struggled to interpret her words. These primitive raiders dare to attack while I am aboard? They show no honor, no respect for proper combat. One of the pirates, a scarred human with cybernetic implants, stepped forward with his weapon raised. Lady, I don't care what rock you crawled out from under. This station is under new management, and you're either with us or against us. The alien woman's eyes blazed brighter. I am Zavera of the Zephyrian Third Dynasty, warrior of the Crystal Throne. And you, pathetic scavenger, have just made the last mistake of your miserable existence. She moved with fluid grace, her hand extending toward a weapon that seemed to materialize from her armor. The crystal beast beside her growled, a sound like grinding stone mixed with the hum of electrical discharge. The pirates opened fire, their plasma bolts lighting up the corridor in brilliant flashes. Marcus watched in amazement as Zavera danced between the energy blasts, her movements too fast for human eyes to follow. Her weapon, a blade that seemed to be made of pure light, deflected shots with casual ease. The crystal beast, which she had called Crix, pounced on the nearest pirate with devastating efficiency. The man's scream was cut short as crystalline claws tore through his armor like paper, but there were too many pirates. More kept appearing from connecting corridors, their weapons overwhelming even Zavera's incredible speed. Marcus saw her stumble as a plasma bolt grazed her shoulder, violet blood seeping through her armor. The beast roared in fury, but even Its awesome power could not be everywhere at once. That was when Marcus made the decision that would change everything. He could not watch this warrior fall to common criminals, not when he had the means to help. The mining station systems were his specialty, and he knew every conduit, every power relay, every emergency protocol. More importantly, he understood something the pirates did not. The station's gravity generators were located directly above their position. Marcus's fingers flew over his portable control unit, accessing the maintenance protocols he knew by heart. The pirates were advancing on Azavira, confident in their numerical advantage. They never saw the trap close in around them. "Take cover," Marcus shouted in perfect Zephyrian, his universal translator working in reverse. Zavira's head snapped toward him, her glowing eyes wide with surprise. She dove behind a support beam just as Marcus activated the gravitational anomaly. The effect was immediate and devastating. The corridor's gravity field inverted, sending the pirates flying toward the ceiling with bone-crushing force. Their weapons scattered as they fought against the overwhelming pull. Marcus fine-tuned the field, creating pockets of normal gravity around himself and Zavira, while keeping the pirates trapped. "How did you ... Zavira began, her voice filled with astonishment. "Physics," Marcus replied simply, helping her to her feet. "Sane laws everywhere in the universe. Are you hurt?" She stared at him, as if seeing him for the first time. "You are human. Your species is not supposed to understand Zephyrian combat systems." "I don't understand your combat systems," Marcus admitted, checking his control unit as the pirates struggled helplessly above them. "But I understand engineering. And right now, we need to get out of here before their friends arrive." Zavira's expression hardened. "A human saved my life. This is ... unprecedented." She looked at Crix, who had been watching Marcus with obvious curiosity. "What do you think, old friend? Can we trust this small creature?" The crystal beast approached Marcus slowly, its multiple eyes studying him with alien intelligence. Marcus stood perfectly still, knowing that any sudden movement might trigger a violent response. The creature's breath was warm against his face, carrying the scent of ozone and something indefinably alien. "Easy, big guy," Marcus whispered, extending his hand slowly. "I'm not here to hurt anyone." To Zavira's shock, Crix did not attack. Instead, the massive predator lowered its head, allowing Marcus to touch the crystalline surface. The contact sent a tingling sensation through Marcus's fingers, and he could swear he felt something like curiosity emanating from the creature. "Impossible," Zavira breathed. "Crix bonds only with Zephyrian warriors. He should have torn you apart the moment you approached." "Maybe he can sense that I don't want to fight," Marcus suggested, gently stroking the creature's crystal hide. "Some animals respond to intent more than action." "Crix is not an animal," Zavira said firmly. "He is a crystalline apex predator, bred for war and bonded to my family line for generations. He has killed beings far more dangerous than you without." Hesitation. As if to prove her point, more pirates appeared at the far end of the corridor. Marcus quickly adjusted the gravity field, but he knew it was only a temporary solution. The pirates were adapting, using magnetic grapples to anchor themselves and return fire. "We need to move," Marcus said urgently. "The main power conduit is 3 levels down. If we can reach it, I can shut down life support in the occupied sections." Zavira nodded, her warrior instincts taking over. "Lead the way, human. But know that if you betray us, Crix will ensure your death is neither quick nor pleasant." They moved through the maintenance tunnels, Marcus leading the way while Zavira covered their retreat. The crystal beast followed silently, its presence both comforting and terrifying. As they navigated the maze of corridors, Marcus found himself stealing glances at his unlikely companions. Zavira moved with the fluid grace of a predator, her every step calculated and precise. Her armor seemed to respond to her thoughts, shifting and adapting to provide maximum protection. When she spoke, her voice carried centuries of breeding and training, the authority of someone born to command. Crix was even more fascinating. The creature's crystal hide changed color to match its surroundings, and Marcus noticed that it seemed to anticipate threats before they appeared. Its multiple eyes moved independently, creating a field of vision that covered nearly every angle. Most remarkably, it seemed to understand human speech, responding to Marcus's directions with an intelligence that was unmistakably sapient. They reached the power conduit without incident, but Marcus knew their luck would not hold forever. The pirates were searching systematically, and it was only a matter of time before they were discovered. "This is it," Marcus said, accessing the main control panel. "Give me 2 minutes and I can turn their own ship systems against them." Zavera watched him work with obvious amazement. "Your species builds crude machines, yet you manipulate them with such precision. How is this possible?" "Practice," Marcus replied, his fingers dancing across the controls. "And maybe a little human stubbornness. We don't like being told something is impossible." The station shuddered as another explosion rocked the upper levels. Through the security feeds, Marcus could see the pirates setting charges on the reactor. Housing. They were planning to destroy the entire station rather than leave empty-handed. "They're going to blow the reactor," Marcus warned. "We have maybe 10 minutes before this whole place becomes radioactive debris." Zavera's expression grew grim. "Then we fight our way to the docking bay. Can your human ingenuity get us past 50 armed pirates?" Marcus looked at the control panel, then at his unlikely allies. An idea was forming in his mind, crazy and dangerous, but possibly their only chance. "Maybe, but I'm going to need your trust." "My trust must be earned," Zavera replied coldly. "Then let me earn it," Marcus sighed, his voice filled with quiet determination. "Because I'm not leaving anyone behind." The next few minutes would determine whether human ingenuity could overcome alien superiority, whether cooperation could triumph over conquest, and whether a simple mining engineer could save not just his own life, but the lives of 2 beings who should have been his enemies. The stage was set for a confrontation that would challenge everything Zavera believed about humans, everything Marcus thought he knew about aliens, and everything both species assumed about the nature of strength itself. The bond of understanding Marcus's plan was insane by any reasonable standard. He intended to use the station's mining equipment to create a diversion, simultaneously overloading the pirates' ship systems while opening a path to the docking bay. It required precise timing, intimate knowledge of the station's layout, and a level of trust between species that had never existed before. The mining lasers can be recalibrated to disrupt their ship's shielding, Marcus explained as he worked frantically at the control panel. But someone needs to get close enough to their vessel to plant these resonance charges. Zavera examined the small devices Marcus had assembled from spare parts. "These are mining explosives. They will not penetrate military-grade armor." "They don't need to," Marcus replied, sweat beading on his forehead despite the station's cooling. "Systems. They're designed to create harmonic vibrations. When the mining lasers hit their ship, these charges will amplify the resonance and shake their systems apart from the inside." The alien warrior studied him with new interest. "You would turn their own strength against them. This is ... clever." "It's survival," Marcus said simply. "Sometimes the best way to win is not to fight at all." Crix had been listening to their conversation with obvious intelligence. The crystal beast approached Marcus and began making soft clicking sounds, its multiple eyes focused on the human engineer. Zavera translated, her voice filled with amazement. "He says you think like a predator, but without the need to dominate. He finds this intriguing." Marcus looked into the creature's alien eyes and saw something he had not expected: respect. "Tell him I think he's pretty impressive too, and that I'm sorry we can't communicate directly." To his surprise, Crix responded by gently touching Marcus's forehead with one crystalline claw. The contact sent a shock through Marcus's nervous system, and suddenly he could feel the creature's thoughts like whispers in his mind. The sensation was overwhelming. Alien intelligence mixed with primal instincts, and something that felt remarkably like affection. "That is impossible," Zavera breathed. "Crix has never formed a telepathic bond with anyone outside my family line." "Maybe," Marcus said, still reeling from the contact. "Intelligence recognizes intelligence, regardless of species." The station shook again, more violently this time. Through the security feeds, Marcus could see the pirates advancing toward their position. They had maybe 3 minutes before being discovered. "We need to move now," Marcus said, shouldering a pack of equipment. "The mining bay is 2 levels up. If we can reach it without being seen—" "We will not reach it unseen," Zavera interrupted. "There are too many of them. But perhaps we do not need to hide." She turned to Crix, speaking in rapid Zephyrian. The crystal beast's response was a low growl that seemed to express agreement. Zavera's expression grew predatory. "Crix suggests a more direct approach. He will create a distraction while we complete your plan." "No," Marcus said firmly, "we don't sacrifice anyone. There has to be another way." Ezra stared at him in shock. "You would risk failure to save a creature you barely know? This is foolish. Beyond measure." "This is human," Marcus replied, his voice carrying quiet conviction. "We don't leave people behind. Not ever." The sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the corridor. The pirates had found their location. Marcus made a decision that would have seemed impossible an hour earlier. He stepped in front of Crix, shielding the massive predator with his own body. "If they want to hurt him, they'll have to go through me first," Marcus declared. Zavera, eyes blazed with disbelief. "You would challenge armed pirates to protect a creature that could kill you with a thought?" "Yes," Marcus said simply, "because that's what you do for friends." The first pirate rounded the corner, his weapon raised. Marcus activated his plasma cutter, the tool's being pale and inadequate compared to military weapons. But he stood his ground, protecting beings who should have been his enemies. That was when everything changed. Crix let out a roar that shook the station's bulkheads. But instead of attacking the pirates, the crystal beast moved to stand beside Marcus, its massive form creating a living shield. The creature's message was clear. If the human was willing to protect him, then he would protect the human in return. Zavera watched in amazement as her bonded companion chose to trust this strange human. In all her years of warfare, she had never seen anything like it. The pirates opened fire, their plasma bolts lighting up the corridor. But Marcus was already moving, his engineering skills turning the station itself into a weapon. Emergency blast. Doors slammed shut, cutting off the pirates' escape routes. Atmospheric processors began venting oxygen from their sections, while maintaining life support for Marcus and his allies. The station's artificial gravity fluctuated wildly, sending the attackers tumbling through the corridors. "How are you doing?" "This?" Zavera demanded, her voice filled with professional admiration. "I'm not fighting them," Marcus explained as he worked. "I'm changing the rules of engagement. They came here expecting to face resistance. Instead, they're dealing with adaptation." The mining bay was a vast chamber filled with massive equipment designed to strip asteroids of their valuable minerals. Marcus quickly began recalibrating the primary laser array, his fingers flying over controls that would have baffled most engineers. Kazi, Vera, and Crix stood guard, watching for any sign of pursuit. Asterisk, asterisk. "The resonance charges need to be placed on their ship's hull," Marcus said, handing Zavera the devices. "But the timing has to be perfect," 1 second too early or too late, and the plan fails. I understand, Severa replied, checking her weapons. But how will you know when I am in position? Marcus smiled and gestured to Crix. Our friend here has a telepathic connection to both of us now. He can coordinate the timing. The crystal beast's eyes glowed brighter, and both Marcus and Severa felt a gentle touch in their minds. The creature was establishing a three-way link, allowing them to share thoughts and feelings across species barriers. It was unprecedented in galactic history. A human, a Zephyrian, and a crystal predator working together as one unit. Zalvera launched herself toward the pirate's ship. With incredible speed, her armor's flight systems carrying her through the vacuum of space. Marcus watched through the mining bay's viewports as she maneuvered around the vessel's defensive systems, placing the resonance charges with surgical precision. Through their shared link, he felt her determination, her warrior pride, and something else, a growing respect for the human who had shown her a different way to fight. Crix's thoughts were alien but unmistakably warm, filled with a protective instinct that extended to both his companions. Now, Marcus whispered, activating the SIA. Mining lasers. The beam struck the pirate's ship with devastating force. The resonance charges amplified the impact, sending harmonic vibrations through the vessel's hull. Systems began failing throughout the ship as the carefully calibrated frequencies disrupted their electronics. The pirates found themselves trapped. Aboard a vessel that was literally shaking itself apart, but Marcus's plan had an unexpected side effect. The mining lasers had created a feedback loop that was overloading the station's power grid. Warning lights flashed as the reactor began approaching critical temperatures. The station is going to explode, Marcus realized with horror. We have maybe 2 minutes before the reactor goes critical. Zavera returned to the docking bay, her mission complete, but her expression grim. The pirate ship is disabled, but they still have escape pods. And if this station explodes ... the blast will destroy everything within a light minute, Marcus. Finished, including any ships trying to escape. They stood in the mining bay, surrounded by the fruits of human ingenuity and alien cooperation. The pirates were defeated, but victory might cost them their lives. That was when Crix stepped forward, his crystal hide pulsing with internal light. The creature's thoughts flowed through their shared link, complex and alien but unmistakably selfless. He was offering to use his own bioelectrical field to stabilize the reactor, knowing that the process would likely kill him. No, Marcus said firmly. There has to be another way. But Ciavara was already moving, her warrior instincts taking over. Crix is right. His sacrifice could save thousands of lives in the surrounding systems. Then we all go together, Marcus declared, moving toward the reactor chamber. I'm not leaving anyone behind. The reactor core was a nightmare of twisted metal and escaping. Radiation. The safety systems had failed, and the containment field was fluctuating wildly. Marcus studied the readings, his engineer's mind racing through possibilities. Wait, he said suddenly. The mining lasers are still active. If we can redirect their beam through the station's crystalline matrix. He turned to Crix, his eyes bright with inspiration. Your crystal hide can conduct and focus energy. If you can channel the laser beam through your body, we might be able to stabilize the reactor without anyone dying. Javera stared at him in amazement. You would risk everything on an untested theory? I would risk everything to save my friends, Marcus replied. That's what humans do. The next few minutes tested every skill Marcus had ever learned. He recalibrated the mining lasers, while Zever helped position Crix at the optimal angle. The crystal beast's hide began to glow as it absorbed the laser energy, channeling it through its body and into the reactor's core. The process was incredibly dangerous. One miscalculation would kill them all. But Marcus felt the trust flowing through their shared link, Savera's warrior courage, Crix's protective instincts, and his own human determination to find a solution that saved everyone. The reactor stabilized with seconds to spare. The laser beam, focused through Crix's crystalline structure, had realigned the containment field and brought the core back to safe parameters. The station was saved, the pirates were defeated, and no one had been sacrificed. As the emergency lights faded and normal illumination returned to the mining bay, the three unlikely allies stood together in exhausted silence. They had achieved something unprecedented. A human, a Zephyrian, and a crystal predator working as one unit, each contributing their unique strengths to overcome impossible odds. "Your species," Zavera said finally, her voice filled with wonder, "is more dangerous than we ever imagined. Not because of your weapons or your technology, but because of this." She gestured to the space between them. "Your ability to inspire loyalty, to form bonds that transcend species barriers. This is a power we never expected." Marcus smiled tiredly. "We call it friendship, and apparently it's universal." Crix's crystalline hide pulsed with warm light, his thoughts flowing through their link with unmistakable affection. The creature had found something among humans that he had never expected: acceptance without domination, respect without fear. As rescue ships arrived to take them away from the damaged station, Zavera made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. She formally requested that Marcus join her diplomatic mission, recognizing that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons, but their capacity for empathy and connection. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were not just another species to be conquered or contained. They were partners, friends, and allies who could turn enemies into family with nothing more than courage, compassion, and an unwavering refusal to leave anyone behind. The age of human isolation was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun. Asterisk,